Test results for the Subaru WRX, Mazda rolls out a new Miata, some reader questions, and the Ram diesel. Next on Talking Cars. Hi there and welcome to Talking Cars with Consumer Reports. I'm Tom Muchler.
I'm Gabe Shenhar.
I'm Ryan Puzlikowski.
And I'm John Linkov.
A couple weeks ago, we promised you an episode talking about the test results of the new Subaru WRX. We finally are bringing that episode to you. Gabe, the car does a great job putting down the numbers.
Oh, it certainly does. I mean, it's got killer braking performance, killer cornering grip. The acceleration is ferocious.
Yeah, 6 seconds to 60.
Right,
Yep.
which is right up there with some of the supercars in terms of avoidance maneuver speed as well. However, there is a big but here. I mean, that car is quite horrendous everyday driving.
Wow.
Wow, yeah.
Ryan, what makes it?
It's rough. It's the power band in that car is like you wait an hour for turbo lag, and then it finally hits you, and it hits hard, as you say. It's ferocious, but it's everyday driving would drive you insane, absolutely insane.
John, what do you
and it's
think?
rough. It rides rough. Stiff.
You know, it's tough. Historically, WRXs were either raw edge, or then all of a sudden they got so weak and they became like way too livable, and people complained, and they dial it back the other way. I mean, it is a sports car. It is much sportier. Yes, the throttle leg's awful. The stiffness of the suspension is tough. It's definitely gotten more towards the track day and fun, spirited driving than a commuter car. You know, you're not gonna sit there with your coffee in it.
Without spilling it all over you.
It's just not designed for that.
It is a terrific track day car.
Yeah.
It is, but they haven't figured out how to get the right blend in that car.
But this is a bit of a surprise because years ago, when the WRX first came out, this was a very balanced car. This was a very, the original one, 2002 to 7. It was a very livable car. It had a very comfortable ride. In the ride, it seemed to be inspired by the rally history.
It was way more compliant. I mean, this is tuned for a track. Mm-hmm. Really is.
Or it's almost STI.
There's
almost no reason.
There's almost no reason for
I think it's
STI.
tuned to break your teeth.
It is. It shatters you.
The thing that really pisses me off about the car is the shifter. The shifter feels like junk.
And the clutch.
Yeah, the clutch is really stiff. It's not progressive at all. It's all or nothing. The shifter just feels like it rattles around.
Yeah, I've said this before, but people, and they're going to be upset, but the CVT in that is almost the way to go.
Whoa. CVT.
That CVT is impressive. The borrowed one we had was really impressive.
I totally agree with that, and I don't care about the peer pressure here, but especially with the CVT when you can
it's almost like driving driving a rally car, because you can bang through the gears, and it puts you in that power band way better.
Right. And it gives you a mode that
gears.
mimics an 8-speed automatic, and you can play with it with the paddles. It's kind of entertaining, actually.
Another thing that's entertaining is sliding it around the snow. When we had the press car with a set of Blizzaks on it and a snowy winter,
Gabe will probably say it's like wearing a belt with suspenders, but I'll tell you what, all-wheel drive with a set of snow tires, it's unless the drifts are this high and over the hood, it's awesome. Yeah. It's awesome. Those cars are great in the wintertime. On the dry pavement, you definitely were giving something up, but in the snow, it was.
No, you've got to
awesome.
have winter tires on this car.
Well, that's right.
I mean,
Summer,
it comes with summer tires. I mean, that's why it puts all these great numbers on the track. But don't think it's all-wheel drive Subaru. I'm good. It's not that way.
Yeah.
You mentioned the STI. Is it worth getting an STI anymore?
Well, gold wings and gold wheels and a big wing.
I love gold wings.
Yeah, gold
like
wing
a Firebird.
What's the price jump? It's
the price jump is
like,
a lot.
Yeah,
it's $10,000.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
For maybe, I think it's 30 or 40 horsepower. It's not a huge horsepower gain.
And now,
I'm sure you can tune that to get the power.
Yeah, and you have that shifter. Basically, a 6-speed now, you have that. It's all the same.
The shifter gets a little better. I think the linkage is a little better.
Is it a little
than the
better?
STI,
There are some suspension and steering differences too, to be fair. But if you ask me, I think that the margin between a WRX and an STI
it's gotten
narrow,
so small.
got narrower these days,
Right.
and it's really, I don't think it's worth it.
The other thing I'm disappointed by is there's no hatchback anymore, or wagon, or whatever you wanted to call it.
Mm-hmm. Whatever language Subaru wants to use, yeah, the usability, just the looks, the uniqueness of it. I mean, Subaru's always been the quirky company to begin with, and to go more sedate with that. Maybe it's crash testing, it's whatever it is, but a lot of people I've spoken to are surprised that they're not having that. You know, we have some owners I've talked with who have had historically a hatchback, and now like, I just can get a sedan. I totally wanted a hatchback. It's surprising to not have it and to just go with sedan. And the sedan's quasi-attractive at best.
I mean, to be fair, it's a very practical package. As far as sporty cars go, you know, you've got a good-sized back seat here.
Yeah,
You
4
have
doors, good trunk.
Well, it is roomy, yeah.
Yeah, it's a roomy
roomy,
car. It's
yeah.
just kind of abusive if you wanted to use it as a family
Every
car.
day, yeah.
It's separated itself, I think, in a bit from in the market. You know, it's going out there towards the aggressive side of the market, and I think some competitors are probably going a little away from that.
Something I also want to talk about this steering feel. How's the steering in this, Ryan?
What's steering? It's dull. There's no, the on-center field doesn't really exist. And you'd expect it, you know, something that so aggressive on the track and, you know, performs that way, you'd expect it to have like really sharp, nice steering. And it's vague, it's not.
Well, I'm a nut for steering feel, and I think it's artificially
You're a nut in
heavy.
many ways.
And thank you. And it's missing something, even when you drive it on the track.
Yeah.
It doesn't have this balance. I mean, you can't really adjust the car on the throttle. It's kind of like a one-trick pony.
Interesting. You know, and this is a shame because Subaru, you know, again, going back to that 2002, the original WRX,
Right.
those cars had, every Subaru you bought had, maybe not the Baja, every Subaru you bought had wonderful steering feel. You know,
Yes.
your most base Impreza had lovely steering feel. Even an Outback steered really well. And
Well, in days of their hydraulic power steering, they used to do a good job. And also the suspension tuning was good. And I mean, now they're trying to get their mojo back. But with this WRX, they really didn't figure out the right blend here.
so, I mean, the car puts down the numbers, but overall, you know, unless you're looking for a track day tool,
Yeah.
kind of a miss. We got a few questions from episode 45. We talked about, you know, having a dealer find out if you're buying a car in advance. And can they tune the car for it to perform better? Stinky Cheese 9999 says, why would you think a dealer replacing an ECU, you know, the engine computer, is a viable way to tweak a car? It's always a trade-off, and the manufacturers already put the most tweaked ECU they can engineer into every vehicle, delivering a balance between smooth, powerful, and high fuel economy deemed appropriate for that class of vehicle. Should be a copywriter, because that's very, it's not really the case, is it, Gabe?
Well, I mean, that ECU pretty much controls these days a lot of things about cars. I mean, throttle mapping and shift strategy and a lot of things that can affect acceleration, fuel economy and whatnot. I mean, even the weight of the steering and whatnot. But, I mean, that's really, that's a pretty far-fetched kind of notion that a dealer would go to that length and do that.
Well, it's something we said, though, that if a manufacturer found out that we were buying a car, they could airmail you a special
right.
ECU.
If a manufacturer found out, yes.
It's not on the dealer side. I think it would be more of delaying the car for a day or two so that a manufacturer rep would come out and double check it. Maybe change pads, maybe, you know, slip on some tires that, you know, if we're not going to double check that they came with the all seasons and we end up seeing, oh my gosh, why do these have summers, surprises like that. You know, maybe they're having a problem with all the infotainment systems and they knew about that, and instead of waiting for the recall, they had one that they stuck in so we wouldn't encounter problems with that. Those are things that are actually very simple switches.
But I mean, an engine computer is a quick switch, too.
Exactly.
You just unplug
Nowadays,
and
yeah.
plug it back in. The thing is that a manufacturer, with the engine computer, they have to make sure that engine's going to last for 150, 200,000 miles. It also has to meet emissions.
Mm-hmm.
If you have the press version that might push things towards the
Right.
edge. We've even seen that. BMW in their press cars, they'll have a line on the window sticker saying it's got a press tune.
Tune to it, yeah.
And those cars, there's all sorts of limitations. If you bought the car used, you can't get a certified warranty. There's little details that, yeah, you can tweak.
That's why
There's always the window of possibility.
Yeah.
That's why it's imperative that we're not giving a lot of lead time. A couple of hours before delivery, we reveal our identity just to streamline the paperwork. But in many cases, we've just arrived at the dealership and said, hey, guess what? I mean,
They're
buying the
clueless
car.
a lot of times. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. So that closes that window of opportunity. Another question we had in the last episode. People pay a lot of attention to this podcast, which Thank you.
Thankfully.
I guess. Sometimes it's interesting what we get. Underneath the Transit Connect in episode 45 was a small puddle. We talked about this in an earlier episode, but Macney82 said, it's leaking. It's not leaking. The car just got washed beforehand, runoff comes through. Look, these cars are busy. These cars, they've got more to do than sit on this stage. They're very, very busy.
Yeah, we're the ones who aren't busy.
Yeah, that's right. Right. We live here, basically. So it's just water runoff. Going back to sports cars for the WRX, Mazda revealed the new Miata last week. What do you think, Ryan?
Very, very sharp, from the photos anyway.
You
Looks
can
like
make anything out from the photos?
Yeah, well, it was fuzzy, a little fuzzy, but at a distance, it looked like a little S2000 mixed with a FRS and maybe a little Supra in there, but it's a Miata, so that's exciting.
John?
It's like dating photos, Are you actually going to see the real thing that looks like that when it shows up at your door, when you meet it?
When it shows up.
It's kind of foggy, a little fuzzy, a little dark and mysterious. It looked like
Well, they had a prototype for the press in some airplane hangar
yeah.
or something like that.
They had one that they rolled out and took photos of. It looks like a fun little, maybe Z3-ish from the first generation Z3 inspiration.
Taillights are a bit Z3, aren't they?
Yeah.
I'm going to reserve
Z4.
judgment until I see the thing in the flesh, but I think the rear looks pretty dramatic. I mean, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Jaguar F-Type, a little bit. And I have a hunch that it's going to look better when it's not red.
You think?
Yeah, because the taillights kind of like get blended with the bodywork, and you kind of miss that effect.
Interesting. I think it looks S2000 from the front.
It looks pretty sharp
Yeah,
from what I saw.
Now, they didn't give out a whole lot of specs. Yeah.
That's the next worldwide release, when
Exactly.
they tell you one number.
Yeah, that's when the press all goes crazy again. But it will have Skyactiv engines. Mazda's not a big car company, so they don't have a lot of engines to choose from. I'd bet a 2-liter.
In that family of Skyactiv, they have a 1.5, a 2-liter, and a 2.5. So for the U.S., I'm sure they're not going to offer the 1.5, but they're probably, it's conceivable they'll offer a 2.0 and a 2.5. And some have been murmuring something about a turbo.
Yeah, there was an earlier teaser video from Mazda that had a very faint turbo whistle that got everyone all excited.
That would have been something, huh?
Yeah, that would be something, because the Mazda's always gotten, a bit of flack for being a bit low on power. I love it, but it always got some flack for being a bit low on power.
It just goes to show you don't need to overwhelm it with power.
Yeah.
Like here, it's a momentum car, and that's
FRS,
fun as anything.
same story.
Yeah.
Blast to drive without the power.
But I would expect a turbo, because, I mean, Mazda needs to develop one for the Mazda Speed 3 if they're going to go ahead with that.
Right.
So I would expect that. Shifting gears towards an entirely different type of vehicle. We have a new top-rated pickup truck, Gabe.
Yes, we do, and that's the Dodge Ram 1500
The Dodge
diesel.
is silent. Remember, the Dodge is silent.
Oh, it is, okay.
Sorry.
Well,
Yeah, the
I
Ram.
didn't get the memo on that. All right.
Yeah, they're rebranding. There's one very important number here with the Ram.
There is, and it's 20 miles per gallon, which is about 30% better than pretty much any other full-size pickup truck. And I think every light-duty pickup truck should have a diesel engine. Passenger car, diesel engine.
You willing to pay for that?
Well, that's the thing. I
Is the
mean,
market willing to
there
pay
is,
for that?
It's a pretty expensive option. It's $4,500.
Yeah, I think it's either $4,000 or $4,500. It's about $2,800 more than the Hemi V8. But you will get the money back.
Right.
Because you're saving 200 gallons of fuel every year. It's going to take you about 4 years, even with diesel's difference in price. And that thing's going to have much better resale.
Yeah.
What do you think, Ryan?
I like it a lot. It's, aside from all those perks, it drives really nice. It's nice, linear power band, plenty of power, and it's easy to drive. I like the little bit of diesel clatter that you get out of it. It's not bad.
I do
not
too.
loud.
Yeah, I mean, there may be some resistance to diesel in passenger cars, but I think in a pickup truck, it's kind of like with the context. It kind of fits the nature and the character of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Ram's been able to sell. In fact, the Grand Cherokee diesel did not take off. So they actually took they can only make a certain number of those engines, so they've actually shifted them over to Ram.
People are picking them up. Yeah.
You know, I remember having the Grand Cherokee Diesel in my garage, and it just was so clattery and so loud, you know, and even just around the idle noise, you know, and it didn't fit with that luxury style of vehicle. But like you're saying,
I
you know,
want
with
that
a
in a
truck,
truck.
with a truck,
Yeah.
it's perfectly. I mean, it's almost as masculine as a red check shirt. You know, it's just there.
Damn
you know, it's what
straight
you want.
it is,
Exactly.
buddy. Damn straight.
You know, and the thing about the pricing is you see so many trucks that are just optioned up, you know, to the $50,000, $60,000 pickup trucks. You know what? $4,500, $4,000 for an engine that's going to give you the mileage, give you the towing,
give you something,
give
yeah.
you performance versus having, you know, an inlaid leather seat, you know, Barca lounger. People will buy
But that's a crap load of money. That truck behind us with cloth seats, no leather, is some number on my iPad. $49,155.
Yeah.
I mean, now trucks always have incentives. You're always going to get a couple $1,000 off.
Yep.
But
I think, like you said, it pays for itself. It's an option that pays for itself versus running boards and other crap that they load up trucks with.
Well, one more thing beyond the individual choice here. I mean, looking at a big picture, I mean, these full-size trucks, I mean, they sell a huge number, like what, 1.25 million, 1.5 million of
a
these
lot of
units a year. If just imagine all of them are going diesel and getting 33% better fuel economy.
Yeah.
That's a buttload
It adds
of
up.
gallons of gas saved, you know, on a mass scale.
yeah, but you could do this a different way. You could do what Ford's doing. You could go all aluminum, you know, which you can cut the weight out.
You can, but I don't think you're getting that delta fuel economy.
No, that will be very interesting to see. It will also be interesting to see how that truck scores. You know, the new Ford F-150. I think a lot in the industry think it's going to be a game changer with how it performs.
Well, we'll see in a
I'm
couple of
curious.
months.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is very curious. Something else. We changed our pickup truck scoring strategy.
Right.
So can you explain that a bit?
Yeah, so we kind of shifted some of the weightings. We pay more attention to, I mean, we learned from manufacturers, from actual data, how often these trucks are being used as work trucks and how often they're being used as regular commuter vehicles. And accordingly, we made some adjustments, and we raised the weight on ride comfort, noise isolation, some of the things that are important for everyday commuters. And that kind of made a few changes and then put the Ram 1500 ahead of the Silverado.
Yeah, because
It rides better than the Silverado.
I think it rides better in the Silverado. Yeah. It is, I think it's quieter in the Silverado.
Less wind noise. Silverado at highway speeds got a lot of wind noise.
There's also more readily available power than the Silverado.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Silverado, you have to really dig into the throttle to get it. The Hemi with the 8-speed automatic doesn't really have that
All
problem.
those
Right.
GM trucks all of a sudden seems to be a change.
But you
'Cause
know,
we saw that in the Tahoe and the
but
Suburbans.
the GM trucks will get an 8-speed automatic. Ram keeps raising towing numbers. I mean, it's a very fluid field.
Oh my gosh! Just look at some of the towing capacity stuff that went on with Ford. With whether it's rated with radios and this and bumpers
They
and
take
not
the
and
bumpers
trim
and the consoles off. Yeah, that's heavy duty truck.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But it's always a game, and there's always changes, and even more so. I mean, 10 years ago or so, you didn't see the powertrain changes and all these little tweaks to keep eking out better numbers. Now it's almost obsolete. 1 year down the road, there's something new.
But as they keep on making those changes, we'll keep on buying trucks and testing them. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of Talking Cars. We'll see you next time.